Hey, what's going on, everybody? Um, just wanted to do a quick video about something that I've been sort of thinking about over the last 2 years. I know that's a long time to be thinking about something, but as I turn or start my 53rd year, finishing up my 52nd year of life, um, 2 years ago I got to thinking about what makes relationships work between people. How do you make a relationship work between people that come across each other for the first time, or how do you keep it working for people who've known each other for some time? And more specifically, how do men keep things straight between each other? And even more specifically, how do black men keep a relationship that they have between each other copacetic? Um, and this relationship don't mean, when I say relationship, I don't mean that you always got to be hanging out with each other, drinking buddies, going out to the clubs, going to sporting events. Just the relationship, how you relate to people, okay? Because that's the foundation of the word relationship, is relate. How do you relate? And if you don't relate properly with people, that can be a problem. So the question is, what can destroy the relationship between two men of color? And what I've seen over the years, and even prior to me turning, 50, a couple of years ago, but just looking at what makes relationships in between men of color, which then in turn hurts our community, because if we can't get along with each other, then it makes it that much more difficult for our sons to relate to other men of color, our daughters to relate, so forth and so on. So, real simply, it's about respect. When I, as a man, respect you as a man, things good. But when I, as a man, choose not to respect you as a man, or you as a man choose not to respect me as a man, then we're going to have some problems. Now, these problems don't mean we're going to be sitting out here in the street fighting, shooting up the place, baseball bats, running each over with cars and stuff that you see on Facebook and all of that. No, it just means things can get pretty tense, things can be uncomfortable, and more importantly, the progression and the growth that we probably could accomplish with each other won't happen because we ain't respecting each other. And a lot of times it's a situation might just be a misunderstanding or what have you, and then it goes into disrespect. Or a person feels as though you shouldn't say something to them about something that they did, which you might feel is disrespectful. So you're saying something and then there's a problem. So that person has a problem that you said something about what you perceive as disrespect. And there's a couple of areas that that disrespect affects, that really is the foundation of male relationship and what I believe is black male relationship, and I call it the four pillars, and it's really a fifth one. Um, the four pillars are: you never mess with a man's woman, you never mess with a man's children, you don't mess with a man's money, and you don't mess with a man's property. It's that simple. If you can respect those four things, we cool. If you can't, there might be some problems. That's just the bottom line. And yes, I know y'all probably saying, well, man, that's for anybody. I can only speak about black people because I'm, as you can see, black. So I'm not trying to say what some other race can do, what some other race criteria, whatever it is. I'm just talking about from what I've experienced dealing with black men my whole life. And when I've gotten along with people, it's because we have a mutual respect for one another. When I haven't gotten along, it's because there's a level of disrespect. It's that simple. Whether I did something disrespectful or they did something disrespectful, the bottom line, disrespect breaks relationships. Just in the basic relationship of a man and woman, in your job, anywhere. Just think about it. With the Lakers, they got rid of, I think, the guy named D'Angelo Russell. Why? Because he disrespected Swaggy P by posting some stuff out on the internet. He shouldn't have did that. Was Swaggy P wrong in what he was saying? Yes. But when that guy did it, that broke trust. So when you break trust between somebody or being disrespectful, there's a problem. So if you don't disrespect the man's woman, don't disrespect their kids, don't disrespect their money, don't disrespect their property, everything is really, really good. And I mean, you don't have to invite them over to your house or they'll come into theirs and all that kind of stuff. All you got to do is just be respectful. Now, the fifth part, that fifth pillar, and I think this is the most important, is that you don't tell a man who's had one of those four areas disrespected not to get upset about that. And I see that a lot. Somebody will disrespect you in one of those four areas and then have the nerve to tell you, well, don't get upset. Why are you upset? Don't get angry, whatever. You can't tell somebody not to get upset when you're blatantly disrespecting them. It's that simple. That's just the bottom line, at least in my opinion. Now, you may feel differently, and that's fine, and I'm cool with that. But after being on this earth and completing 52 years and starting the 53rd, when I look at life in general, it's about respect. And there's certain aspects and things that you just don't mess with. And even break it down even further, the two most important, which I pointed out, was a man's woman. And I'm saying woman because it could be his girlfriend or whatever. So those of you who say, why he ain't say wife? That's why I didn't say wife, because some people aren't married. They're in that engagement phase, or, some people got that, live-in situation and all of that. A man has a woman, leave her alone. Man has kids, leave them alone. And the problem comes in where you have to make sure that your woman and your children don't disrespect another person. So you can't have your woman out there or your children out there disrespecting somebody and then get upset when that person addresses it. Okay? And note what I'm saying. I ain't say deal with. See, deal with is a little bit more harsh, I think. When you address it, is bringing it to the person's attention. Okay? When you address something, you're bringing it to the attention of another. Dealing with it, you're trying to solve it. Okay? You're like, well, I'm gonna deal with this, and then you're like, I'm gonna squash this. Hopefully people try to address situations with another person and then get it rectified. But the money and the property, those things don't fight back. Those things don't really start anything. So the only two areas that a man need to be concerned about is making sure that he respects another man's first two priorities, which is his woman and his children, and then make sure that his children make sure that they respect that other man and his. And when you have that amongst the families, then we can get along and we can grow together, and there's so much more we can do. But when you don't, it opens the door for problems. Now, how things pan out, it all depends on how you take things. Some people like, okay, brush it off, keep going. Other people get a little bit more aggressive. All I know is this: if you want peace in your life, leave other people's stuff alone. Leave other people alone if you don't want any blowback. And I learned in my life that if I just respect another man, don't start none, won't be none, everything's cool. And you may not like that person. You may not like what they're talking about. You may not like anything about them. You might just wake up and look at them in the morning like, I don't like him. For whatever reason. But you not liking him for your undisclosed reasons is no reason to disrespect that person unless they absolutely give you a reason to fire back. But if they haven't, then why are you being disrespectful? Why? And a lot of times our disrespect in the way we treat people has no true ground or foundation to it. It's just us being jerks. It's us within our own minds thinking that I'm better than them, or or that I think something about that person, so I'm going to show them and I'm going to do this to irritate them. And that's not good. It's not. It is not. And we as men, as black men, need to cut that crap out. That's just the bottom line. After being on this earth for this amount of time, 3 years into a half a century, I'm telling you now, if we're going to move forward, going to go forward, we got to respect people. We got to respect that person and within the confines of the property boundaries and so forth and so on. At work, when we're out there playing basketball with each other, just driving down the road, all of these things show some decent respect. And if we can do that amongst each other, then it's going to be harder for other people to disrespect us or to use that as an excuse to disrespect us by saying, well, they don't disrespect each other. Look how the black men treat each other. They don't respect each other. So we who are non-black can disrespect them also. And that is the normal mantra that you hear out here when things happen to us men within the black community from people outside of our community. So, hope people ain't trying to take this too personal, especially those of you who know me. This is just something that I've been observing over the last 2 years and something I've been thinking about. And I figured I'm going to share it. So, don't mess with a man's woman, his children, his money, or his property. And if you do, don't sit there and tell him on that fifth pillar of male relationship that he shouldn't get upset with you for doing so. It's just that simple. All right? Peace.